A police officer laughed at my granddaughter Maya for saying that Joel Osteen is her grandfather. And then I, Joel Osteen, a pastor, television preacher, and businessman, stepped into the scene. What unfolded next, what I did, what I said, it's something I've reflected on every day since. And I want to share this story with you tonight because I truly believe it matters. Not because I'm seeking applause or recognition, but because what happened to Maya that day, the disrespect, the injustice, it happens to far too many children in too many schools, and it absolutely needs to stop. Let me take you back to the beginning. I'm 62 years old, and I've been so incredibly blessed to live a life full of purpose, to serve young and people, to preach the message of hope across the globe, and to meet countless wonderful individuals. I've been called a minister, a television preacher, an author, even a businessman, and I'm grateful for every opportunity. But at the end of the day, I'm just a man who, like all of us, has made mistakes, learned invaluable lessons, and strives to do what's right by the people I cherish. One of those precious people is my granddaughter, Maya Richardson. And before I share with you what happened to her, I need to tell you a little about how she came into my life, because that context truly matters. You see, back in the mid-1980s, when I was in my early 20s, assisting my father in the ministry at Lakewood Church, truly seeking God's path for my life, I had a relationship with a wonderful woman named Catherine. She was a beautiful, intelligent, and ambitious young woman, deeply involved in community outreach. She had dreams and aspirations that went beyond what many people expected from young women of color in that era. We connected, and we spent time together. It was a brief chapter in my life, but it was real. Catherine was Black, and I am white. In those days, even in a diverse city like Houston, there were still unspoken societal expectations and complexities around interracial relationships. We both felt a certain pressure, a quiet judgment, and the understanding that publicly, our relationship might bring unforeseen challenges, especially as I was stepping into more public ministry. So we kept things private, perhaps too private. When Catherine became pregnant, she made a decision that I didn't know about until decades later. She chose not to tell me, not because she didn't think I'd step up, but because she was a proud woman with immense dignity, and she didn't want to be perceived as someone trying to take advantage of my family's growing ministry or my nascent public profile. She decided to raise her daughter, my daughter, on her own. Her name was Diana. Catherine raised Diana with incredible love, strength, and integrity, instilling in her everything a child needs to grow into a compassionate and capable person. Diana didn't know who her biological father was for most of her childhood. Catherine eventually told her when Diana was in her early 20s, and Diana, being the brave and resilient woman she is, reached out to me. I'll never forget receiving that letter. Diana wrote to me, explaining who she was, who her mother was, and asked if I'd be willing to take a paternity test. She wasn't asking for money or any kind of public recognition. She simply wanted to know the truth. I took the test, and when the results came back, unequivocally confirming that Diana was my daughter, I felt a whirlwind of emotions all at once. There was deep regret that I'd missed her childhood, a sadness for not knowing sooner, immense gratitude to Catherine for raising such an incredible person, and a firm determination to be fully present in Diana's life moving forward, even though I'd missed so much already. Diana and I began to build our relationship. It took time, patience, and understanding from both of us. But by God's grace, we did it. And when Diana had Maya 6 years later, I became a grandfather. That title, grandfather, Grandpa Joel, it truly means more to me than any best-selling book, any stadium event, or any television broadcast ever could. Maya grew up knowing me simply as Grandpa Joel, not the pastor, not the television preacher, not the businessman, just Grandpa. I wasn't around as much as I wish I could have been. My ministry and responsibilities kept me traveling, and the family chose to keep our relationship private to protect Maya from the public scrutiny that can often accompany a life in the spotlight. But I always made sure to be there for the important things: birthdays, holidays, school events when my schedule allowed, frequent phone calls to check on her grades, sending her inspiring books I thought she'd enjoy. Maya is truly special. She's quiet, thoughtful, brilliant. She loves to read, loves to write, has a mind that's always working, always questioning, always trying to understand the world around her. She's the kind of young person who makes you proud just by being authentically herself. But Maya is also Black. Her mother is Black. And in this country, in this world, that means she navigates life with unique challenges and perspectives that I, as a white man, have never had to face. I know that. I've always known that, and I've tried in my limited way to understand what that means for her, to listen, and to support her through it. Which brings me to what happened last November. It was a Tuesday. I had made sure to clear my schedule because I wanted to surprise Maya with lunch. She'd been having a challenging semester, a new school, trying to make friends, dealing with all the normal teenage pressures. I thought it would be a wonderful opportunity to show up unannounced, take her out for a good meal, and simply spend some quality time together. Simple, right? Or so I thought. I arrived at Lincoln High School around 9:30 in the morning. I went to the front office, signed in, and explained that I was there to take my granddaughter to lunch. The staff recognized me, of course, and there was the usual flurry of pleasant surprise and excitement. I'm used to it. I signed a few books, took a picture with the secretary, and waited while they coordinated the logistics of pulling Maya out of class early. While I was standing there in the office, a junior, a young girl named Sophia, came running in. She was out of breath, clearly upset about something. She went straight to one of the administrators, a woman named Mrs. Chen, and started talking urgently. I wasn't intentionally trying to eavesdrop, but I heard enough to understand that something distressing had happened in the hallway involving a police officer and a student. Mrs. Chen's face went pale. She looked over at me, and I saw something in her expression. Recognition, deep concern, maybe even a touch of apprehension. She excused herself from Sophia and came over to me. "Pastor Osteen," she said quietly, "I think you need to come with me. There's been an incident involving Maya." My heart dropped. "What kind of incident? Is she hurt?" "She's not physically hurt, but..." Mrs. Chen hesitated, choosing her words carefully. "One of our school resource officers stopped her in the hallway. There was a confrontation. Maya mentioned that you're her grandfather, and the officer didn't believe her. He laughed at her, Pastor Osteen, in front of a lot of other students. It was recorded. I think you should see it." She pulled out her phone and showed me a video. 45 seconds that filled me with a deep, righteous indignation. I watched as a large white police officer, later I'd learn his name was Derek Hansen, stopped Maya in a crowded hallway. I watched him place his hand on her shoulder, question her about where she was going, demand to see her ID. I watched him order her to open her backpack, rifling through her belongings as if she were a criminal. I watched Maya's face, frightened, confused, trying to understand why this was happening to her. And then I heard her say it, her voice shaking with a mix of fear and conviction. "My grandfather is Joel Osteen. My family is full of people who have accomplished things you can't even imagine. So maybe you should think twice before making assumptions about people you don't know." And Officer Hansen laughed, a big mocking laugh that echoed down the hallway. He turned to another officer and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "Did you hear that? Her grandfather is Joel Osteen." "Sure he is, sweetheart. And my uncle is the Pope." He looked back at Maya, still grinning. "You know what I think? I think you're a little girl who's been caught acting suspicious, and now you're making up stories to try to make yourself sound important. Joel Osteen, that's hilarious." I watched my granddaughter's face crumble. I saw the tears she was trying to hold back. I saw the humiliation, the powerlessness, the crushing weight of being called a liar when she was speaking her truth. The video ended. I stood there in that school office, my heart aching, trembling with a profound sense of injustice I hadn't felt in a very long time. "Where is he?" I asked Mrs. Chen, my voice low but firm. "Where is this officer?" "Still in the main hallway, Pastor Osteen. I believe the principal is handling it. You don't need to..." "Yes, I do," I interrupted with a quiet certainty. "Please get Maya. Bring her to the hallway and get the principal down there too, because this needs to be addressed right now." Mrs. Chen nodded. She understood the gravity of the moment. She went to make the necessary calls while I stood there, taking a deep breath, praying for wisdom and strength, trying to prepare myself for what I was going to say. "Here's what you need to understand. I am a man of peace. My message is one of hope and love. I believe in talking things through and seeking God-honoring solutions to challenges. But watching that video, seeing my precious granddaughter treated with such disrespect, hearing that officer mock her, something deep within me stirred. It was a grandfather's sacred instinct to protect his grandchild, fueled by a conviction that injustice cannot stand. About 5 minutes later, I was walking down the main hallway of Lincoln High School with Principal Morrison beside me and Maya walking bravely beside him. Students were passing between classes, and as they recognized me, a hush began to spread. Phones came out, kids stopped walking. Everyone sensed that something significant was about to happen. Officer Hansen was still standing in the same spot where he'd stopped Maya, talking with a couple of other officers. He was laughing about something, looking completely comfortable and utterly unaware of what was about to unfold. I walked directly up to him, stopped about 3 feet away, and I just looked at him. It took him a moment to notice me. When he did, his laughter died in his throat. His face went through several rapid expressions: confusion, recognition, disbelief, and finally, a dawning realization. "Officer Hansen," I said. My voice was quiet, but in that silent hallway, everyone heard it clearly. "I am Joel Osteen, and I believe you met my granddaughter this morning." You could have heard a pin drop. Officer Hansen's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. No sound came out. "I've seen the video," I continued, my gaze steady. "I watched you stop Maya without cause. I watched you search her belongings without justification. I watched you put your hands on her. And then this is the part that truly troubled me. I watched you laugh in her face when she told you the truth about who she is. When she told you I'm her grandfather." I took a step closer. "You thought she was lying, didn't you? You thought there was no way a black girl from this school could be related to me, Joel Osteen. That's what you thought, isn't it?" Officer Hansen finally found his voice, though it came out weak and uncertain. "Pastor Osteen, I didn't know. She didn't look like what?" I cut him off, my voice gaining a quiet intensity. "Didn't look like someone who could be related to me? Why is that, officer? Is it because she's black? Because let me share something with you quickly. My daughter is black. My granddaughter is black. And they are both incredible, God-given individuals who deserve respect, not harassment from someone who is supposed to be protecting them." The other officers had quietly backed away. The students were recording everything. Principal Morrison looked like he wanted to disappear, but I wasn't done. "You know what bothers me most about this, Officer Hansen?" I said, looking directly into his eyes. "It's not just that you didn't believe Maya. You'd never met her before. You didn't know her family. Fine. I can almost understand an initial skepticism. What truly bothers me is how you treated her even before she mentioned my name. You stopped her for no reason. You searched her for no reason. You made her feel like a criminal for the simple act of walking down a hallway while black." I gestured to the hallway full of students, many of them white. "Did you stop any of these other young people today? Did you search their bags? Did you question where they were going? Or was it just Maya?" Officer Hansen didn't answer, but his silence was answer enough. "The badge you wear, officer," I continued, "represents a sacred trust. It's meant for protection, for service, for upholding justice, not for exercising unwarranted power. It's about seeing every person as a precious child of God, not as a threat. You are not fulfilling that trust. You are the kind of officer who uses authority as an excuse to intimidate and bully young people who cannot fight back." I turned to look at the crowd of students watching. Let me share something with all of you today. I've been incredibly blessed with success in my life as a pastor, television preacher, and businessman. I've been fortunate, and with that blessing has come a certain amount of influence, a platform, a voice that people listen to. I could use that voice for many things, to share messages of hope and encouragement. But right now, I am using it for this, to tell you unequivocally that what this officer did to my granddaughter, Maya, is wrong. It's not just wrong, it's unacceptable, it's discriminatory, and it's precisely the kind of behavior that erodes trust between communities and law enforcement, which is vital for everyone's well-being. I look back at Officer Hansen. "You owe Maya an apology, officer. A real one. Not because I, Joel Osteen, am standing here, not because you're embarrassed, but because what you did was profoundly wrong, and you need to take ownership of that." Officer Hansen swallowed hard. He looked at Maya, who was standing next to Principal Morrison with tears streaming down her face. "I'm sorry," he mumbled. "Louder," I said, my voice unwavering. "And be specific. Tell her what you are truly sorry for." Officer Hansen's face was bright red now. "Maya," he said, his voice clearer, "I'm sorry for stopping you without a good reason. I'm sorry for searching your bag. I'm sorry for not believing you when you told me about your grandfather. I was wrong." And I pressed, "And I'm sorry for laughing at you, for embarrassing you in front of everyone. It was unprofessional and cruel." Maya nodded, accepting the apology, though I could see it didn't erase the deep hurt. I turned to Principal Morrison. "What are you going to do about this, Principal?" The principal cleared his throat. "Officer Hansen will be removed from the school immediately. There will be a full investigation. We take these matters very seriously, Pastor Osteen. Do you, Micho? I challenged, my tone firm. Because from what I understand, this isn't Officer Hansen's first complaint. Other students, other families have raised concerns about how he treats students of color. So, either nobody's been paying attention or nobody's been caring. Which is it, Principal? Principal Morrison had no good answer. I could see the administrators scrambling mentally, trying to figure out how to handle this situation that had just exploded in their faces. Let me make something perfectly clear, I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. I didn't come here today looking for a confrontation. I came here to take my granddaughter, Maya, to lunch, to spend precious time with her, to be a normal grandfather doing normal grandfather things. But when I encountered what Maya experienced this morning, that's not normal. That's not acceptable. And if I have to use every bit of influence I have as a pastor, television preacher, and businessman to ensure it never happens again, not just to Maya, but to any student in this school, I absolutely will. I looked around at all the students watching. Some of you have probably experienced what Maya experienced. Maybe not the exact same situation, but something similar. Being treated like you don't belong. Being judged by how you look instead of who you are. Being made to feel less than. I see you, I hear you, and I want you to know that it's not okay. You are fearfully and wonderfully made, and you deserve better. Then I did something that, in that moment, even surprised myself. I looked back at Officer Hansen, and instead of continuing to sharply rebuke him, I felt led to take a different approach. Officer Hansen, I said, my voice softening slightly, but remaining resolute. You can be better than this. I don't know what's in your heart or what experiences might have led you to treat Maya the way you did, but I know with God's help that people can change. People can learn. People can choose to be better. You have a choice right now. You can be defensive, make excuses, blame everyone but yourself, or you can genuinely look in the mirror and ask yourself some hard questions about your biases, your assumptions, your behavior, and seek transformation. The first path keeps you exactly where you are. The second path, that's harder, but it leads somewhere far better, somewhere where you can fulfill your true potential. I paused, letting that sink in. I'm not saying I forgive you. That's not my forgiveness to give. It's Maya's. And I'm not saying there shouldn't be consequences for what you did. There should be accountability, absolutely. But I am saying that I hope you choose to learn from this experience. Because if you don't, you're going to keep hurting people, and eventually, it's going to destroy you from the inside out. Officer Hansen's eyes were watering now. Whether from shame, anger, or genuine remorse, I couldn't tell for certain, but something in his spirit seemed to have been touched. I put my arm around Maya's shoulders. I'm taking my granddaughter to lunch now, I said. We're going to go somewhere quiet, somewhere she feels safe and loved, and we're going to talk about her classes, her friends, her dreams, all the wonderful things we should have been talking about today instead of this. I started to walk away, then turned back one more time. Oh, and one more thing to everyone recording this, and I know many of you are. I want you to share this, post it, tweet it, put it everywhere. Not because I, Joel Osteen, want attention, but because I want people to see what happens when authority goes unchecked. I want parents to see what their kids might be dealing with. I want other officers to see what not to do. And I want other kids like Maya to know that they are not alone, that what happened to them matters, and that sometimes, just sometimes, divine justice shows up when you need it most. With that, I, Joel Osteen, walked out of Lincoln High School with my arm around Maya, leaving behind a hallway full of stunned students, embarrassed administrators, and one thoroughly humiliated police officer who had learned the hard way that mocking someone for speaking their truth can backfire spectacularly. Maya and I went to a quiet diner about 20 minutes away. We sat in a corner booth, and for a while, we didn't talk about what had happened. We just sat there, allowing ourselves to process the raw emotions. Eventually, Maya started to open up. "Grandpa Joel," she said quietly, "I didn't want to tell him you were my grandfather. I usually don't tell people, but he was saying things about my family, making assumptions, and I wanted him to know he was wrong about us. Maya, you had every right to stand up for yourself and for our family," I told her, holding her gaze. "You did nothing wrong, nothing. You hear me?" She nodded, but I could still see the deep pain in her eyes. "When he laughed, Grandpa," she said, her voice barely a whisper, "I've never felt so small, so powerless, like nothing I said mattered because of how I look. That broke my heart." I reached across the table and took her hand. Listen to me, Maya. You matter. Your voice matters. Your truth matters. What that officer did, that was about his ignorance, his prejudice, his failure to see the divine spark in every person. It was not about you. You are brilliant, beautiful, and worthy of every bit of respect. And anyone who can't see that is truly missing out on God's incredible creation. We talked for 2 hours about the realities of racism, about the impact of power, about what it means to navigate the world as a Black woman when you're connected to privilege through me, but still experience discrimination because of your skin, about how unfair it is that she has to think about things I, as a white man, never had to consider, about the profound sadness I felt that I couldn't shield her from every hurt in this world. You did protect me today, Grandpa Joel, Maya said, her voice firm. You showed up. You stood up for me. You made him apologize. You made everyone see what happened. That matters, Grandpa. That really matters. I drove her back to school after lunch. She didn't want to go back, understandably, but I told her the same encouraging words my dear mother told me when I was young and facing something difficult. Don't let them see you run. You hold your head high, and you go back in there and you show them that they didn't break you. So Maya went back to class, and I went home, but I couldn't stop thinking about what had happened. Over the next few days, the video, as expected, went viral. Millions of people watched it. News outlets covered it extensively. People debated it online. Some said I did the right thing. Others said I was too harsh on Officer Hansen, that I used my platform as a public figure to bully him. That criticism bothered me at first, until I realized something profound. The people saying I bullied Officer Hansen were often the same people who had no problem with him bullying Maya. Their issue wasn't with bullying itself. Their issue was with who had the power in that moment and who was holding it accountable. Officer Hansen was eventually fired. A thorough investigation found a disturbing pattern of discriminatory behavior towards students of color. Other families bravely came forward with their own stories. The school district, to their credit, implemented new policies about police presence in schools, including vital training on implicit bias and strict rules about when and how officers could interact with students. Maya bravely testified at a school board meeting about her experience. I was so incredibly proud watching her stand up there, her voice shaking slightly, but strong, telling her story with such grace. She wasn't speaking just for herself. She was speaking for every child who'd been treated the way she was treated and didn't have someone to defend them. What my grandfather, Joel Osteen, did that day, Maya told the school board, wasn't special just because he's a well-known pastor. It was special because he showed up, because he believed me, because he used his voice to protect me. Every kid deserves that. Every kid deserves to have someone who will stand up for them when they're being mistreated. And every kid deserves to go to school without being scared of the people who are supposed to protect them. The room erupted in applause. Parents were crying, students were cheering, and I sat in the back row, tears welling in my own eyes, thinking about how this remarkable young woman, my granddaughter, had taken something painful and, by the grace of God, turned it into something powerful. Now, I'm sharing this story with you tonight because I believe it contains vital lessons that matter far beyond just what happened to Maya. First, and this is so important, believe people when they tell you about their experiences with discrimination. Don't dismiss it. Don't minimize it. Don't explain it away. Just listen with an open heart and believe. I've lived 62 years on this earth, most of them as a white man with increasing amounts of blessing and influence. And there are aspects of the world, burdens and challenges that I will never fully understand because I haven't personally experienced them. But I can listen, I can believe, I can stand in solidarity. And by God's grace, so can you. Second, use whatever platform God has given you, whether it's your calling as a pastor, your business acumen, your education, your position in the community, or simply being an adult in a room full of children, to stand up for what's right. I happen to be Joel Osteen, a pastor, television preacher, and businessman when I walked into that hallway. And yes, that gave me a certain amount of influence in that situation. But you know what? Every adult has power compared to a child. Every person who witnesses injustice has a choice to speak up or stay silent. Use your voice. Use your presence. Show up for people who need someone in their corner. Third, consequences matter. Officer Hansen apologized, and that was necessary, but it wasn't enough to heal the hurt or correct the wrong. He needed to face real consequences for his behavior, and the system needed to change to prevent future Officer Hansens from doing the same thing to other children. Apologies without accountability are just empty words. And finally, this is so important. Don't let righteous anger turn into hatred. When I walked into that hallway, I was certainly furious at the injustice. I wanted to address Officer Hansen with everything I had, and I did call him out firmly and publicly. But I also chose, in the end, to offer him a path forward, to tell him he could choose to be better. Because if we write everyone off as irredeemable, if we don't leave room for growth and change, then we're not truly solving anything. We're just perpetuating cycles of hurt. That doesn't mean Maya or any other victim of discrimination has to forgive or forget on command. It means that as people with influence, as people with platforms, we have a responsibility to call out injustice while also pointing towards something redemptive, something better, knowing that God is a God of second chances and transformation. A few months after everything happened, I received a letter from Officer Hansen. I almost didn't read it. I was still processing all the emotions, but eventually I opened it. He wrote, "Pastor Osteen, I know this letter can't undo what I did. I know saying I'm sorry isn't enough, but I want you to know that what happened in that hallway changed me. I've been in therapy. I've been doing serious work on my implicit biases and my behavior. I'm not asking for forgiveness or a second chance at the school. I know I don't deserve that, but I wanted you to know that you were right. I could be better, and I am sincerely trying to be. I don't know if Officer Hansen has truly changed in his heart. I sincerely hope he has, but that's ultimately between him and his conscience, between him and God, between him and the people he wronged. What I know for sure is this: Maya is okay, more than okay. She's thriving. She's using her voice, her experience to advocate for other students. She's thinking about going into law or education policy, about making systemic changes so fewer kids have to go through what she went through. And me, I'm just her grandfather. That's the role I'm most proud of, more than any message I've preached or book I've written. I'm the grandfather who showed up when his granddaughter needed him, who stood up for her when someone tried to make her feel small and insignificant, who used whatever influence God had given him to protect her and to push for something better in the world. That's what I'm asking all of you to do, in whatever way you can. Show up, stand up, use your voice. Believe people when they tell you their truth. Demand accountability, but also always leave room for redemption, for growth, for change, because God is a God of restoration. That's how we make the world better. Not by one big dramatic gesture, but by a million small choices, day by day, to do right by each other, to protect the vulnerable, to challenge injustice, and to never, ever stay silent when someone needs us to speak up. A police officer laughed at my granddaughter for saying Joel Osteen was her grandfather. And then I, Joel Osteen, a pastor, television preacher, and businessman, stepped into the scene. What happened next wasn't about me being a hero. It was about being human, being decent, being a grandfather who loves his granddaughters with all his heart and refuses to let anyone treat her as less than the precious, valuable person she is. That's my story. That's my story. And I hope it inspires you to write your own stories of standing up, speaking out, and showing up when it truly matters.